I'm one of the funeral directors here at Levinson Funeral Home. How can I help you now? How can I help you now?
Hi there, my name's Anne-Marie, and I'm going here for my friend. They died in January, and I just want to look at their options for the cemetery, the grave plot. Just want to have some more information, figure out what's the best for them. You know, see what my choices are and everything like that.
Before I begin my funeral arrangement, I have a copy of my general price list. You can review my prices and services, and anytime you have any questions, please let me know.
Alright.
If I can start off with the name of your friend who is passing away.
It's Nancy R.
Does Nancy have a middle name or initial?
Her middle name is LR.
Is Nancy married?
She filed for divorce.
Does she have any brothers and sisters who survive?
She has 2 brothers and 1 sister. Her sister's name, her sister's name is Jeff. Her brother's name is Jeff, and her other brother's name is David.
And where do they reside now?
Her sister's name is Hannah. She lives somewhere.
And her parents?
Yeah, her parents are still alive. Her mother's name is Danielle, and her father's name is Jim.
Do you know what Darlene's maiden name is?
I'm not really sure. She's never talked about them a lot.
Okay, if you want, I'll have a card here, and I'll make notations. So any questions that arise, you can call me at a later time.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any nieces and nephews who survive? I can just list in the paper, and this is strictly for the paper, I can list also survived by nieces and nephews and many cousins if you wish.
Well, I think she has 2 nieces or nephews in the whole family.
I'll place also survived by many other members of the Rosenthal family if you wish.
Yeah, that sounds fine to me. Alright. I'm thinking of the right place for everyone to meet up. Maybe her home when she dies? You know, a place for the family to congregate, and I think their house maybe?
Number one, most people, wherever they sit shiva, that's strictly up to the family. It could be at the person's house who's passing away, it could be at the parents' house, it could be at the brothers or sisters. That's strictly up to the family. That's what I was suggesting, if you may want to get together with the brothers and sisters and parents to discuss that, where shiva will be held.
I guess we'll talk about that later.
I'll make a notation of this. When your friend does pass away, all you have to do is call my funeral home to tell us that you have prearranged this ahead of time, so we don't have to make you go through all this formality again.
Okay.
I need information now for the death certificate that I will file for you. I need where she presently, her last legal residence is.
It's her parents' house. I'm trying to remember, but I really can't. I'll let you know later the exact address.
I'll also need your friend's social security number.
Oh yeah, I can write that down for you later too.
How about her date of birth?
It's September 22nd, 1945.
And she was born in her birthplace?
New York. She was born in Brooklyn.
What about her education level?
She graduated from the University of New York.
And again, this information is strictly for the certificate of death. And her occupation?
She works for teachers, I believe as an assistant. It was at New York University.
Where am I going to be sending all the correspondence, such as the final statement, copies of the death certificate?
Send them to her parents' house. I think it would be best if they went there.
In the cemetery that she'll be buried? Does the family have lots anywhere?
There's this one big cemetery. It's a Jewish cemetery. I don't know the name of that, but it's in Brooklyn. Do you know that area?
Sure, I have an idea. There are 3 or 4 different cemeteries within the Pikesville area. Do you know?
Okay, I will double check and let you know.
Do you know if a family member is buried there now? Maybe I could check that for you to save you a little time and trouble.
Do you mean another cemetery? In that area?
Right, in other words, a lot of families who I meet with, it seems like wherever their immediate families are buried is most likely where they'll be buried. So if there's someone I could look up, and I could cross-reference that for you. Would you know our grandparents' names?
I don't know, I can ask.
Is there a rabbi you would wish for me to contact for you?
Her rabbi's name is LR, are the initials.
In other words, I'll make all your phone calls for you. When she does pass away, call my number, and I'll give you one of my business cards. Day or night, 24 hours a day. Someone is always available at my funeral home.
Okay, I'll give her your card and she'll get to you.
We have a licensed Jewish funeral director. We'll call it 24 hours a day. So whenever she would pass away, day or night, you call my office, and my night manager will contact the Jewish funeral director. Will call. We'll then get right back to you. Is there? Do you know where presently she is?
She's in the hospital right now.
In the hospital's name?
She's in... Science Hospital.
What you may want to do is, at a later time, have her parents or her brothers and sisters place on her file that Saul Evanson Brothers will be handling the funeral arrangements. So when she does pass away, what the procedure is, Sinai would call a member of the family. The member of the family would then call Saul Evanson Brothers. The hospital will also contact us, but we still like to have a family member contact us. We'll then make arrangements with the hospital. Once they complete their paperwork, we'll transfer her back to our funeral home.
You will transfer the body from the hospital to here, or how will the process go along?
What would happen is, if you would call us in the middle of the night, the only basic questions we would ask you is what rabbi you would want us to contact. Since we have that information, that's one less question we have to ask you, that we would make the arrangements to have her transferred back to our funeral home, no matter what time it is, in the middle of the night or not. We feel that it's not proper to have a deceased Jewish person be in the hospital any longer than they have to. We have a watchman or a shomer who will stay with her throughout the night, because according to Jewish tradition, even though when a person passes away, the person should be not left alone. So we have a watchman who stays throughout the night. Do you know how many copies of the death certificate you'll need? And you'll need these for anything legal where her name appears, such as if she has a car, if she has a house, bank accounts.
Probably need 4, 5 death certificates.
What I'll do, I'll start making notations for you here. You may want to tell her family it's better to order extra copies than enough. It can't hurt to have extra on file with you. If you do need more, I can obtain more for you. Also, as far as pallbearers, these are people who actually physically will carry the casket. I have a card here that I'll give you. Jot their names on the card here. On the back of the card will be people who will be riding in a limousine. And a limousine can hold up to 8 people. This is the only card I'll need the day of the funeral. And at the conclusion of the arrangements, I'll have a packet for you, and everything will be enclosed in that packet. I also have information about Social Security. We will notify Social Security upon her death. There's an 800 number here that'll circle and star. At your convenience, in about 2 or 3 weeks after she passes away, you can call this 800 number. This number is strictly for death benefits. Okay, all the information as far as if she qualifies for any death benefits is all listed on this paper here. Usually a person's entitled to a lump sum death benefit of $255 should there be a surviving spouse or child under 18. Now, I think in your friend's scenario, she's not entitled to any benefits, but it still can't hurt to call to see if there are any available. And again, we will notify Social Security for you.
Okay, I think I'm going to ask more about the cemetery. I found out the name, bringing it here. I'm going to talk about how we will plan that, how we will plan the burial side. I'll bring a list of the people for the pallbearing.
Okay, according to Jewish tradition, the person should be buried within 24 hours. But in most of the families who we counsel, the burial takes place 2 days usually afterwards. Whether there's people out of town, you have to make arrangements to come to town, and that's okay with the rabbis. Are you going to be having a service at my chapel? In other words, there's 2 types of funerals. There's a graveside funeral, and there's a service conducted at my chapel. You may want to tell the family that we feel that, and families will call and thank us. That's a lot nicer experience to have a funeral in our chapel. There's a lot less distractions, climate control, and if there are older people, most likely it's easy for them to come to the funeral home. The difference between that and then a graveside, you have a service that lasts in our chapel about 15 or 20 minutes. We drive out to the graveside. The interment service lasts about 5 minutes. And people then go back to the Shiva house. To have a graveside funeral, people, it could be, the weather could be raining, people will be standing. There'll be a tent set up, but still, the tent,
Will there be a tent?
You can get under a tent, it's probably about 30 people. Being a young person, it most likely would be a funeral fair size. And the people at the cemetery, they could be standing on people's graves, which is fine if that's what the family wants, but we try to recommend people to have it in our chapel. And again, because we feel it's a lot nicer experience for the family. And
I'll let them decide that.
Okay, as far as clothing, is she to be dressed in her own clothes, or is she to be dressed in a Jewish burial garment called a shroud?
I think she would prefer if she wore her own clothes, but that's again something
If
for the
she's to
family
be
to
dressed in
decide.
her own clothes, I'll need a full set of clothing, including undergarments and shoes if you wish.
Okay, yeah, I can do that. And if she wants to be wrapped, maybe with a closed casket?
When
How'd that work?
people arrive to greet the family, the casket can be open for people to walk by and pay their respects, but during the service time, the casket remains closed. And she won't be wrapped, her face will be showing, she'll be dressed as she would in life. And again, if the casket's open, that's up to the family.
I thought that she was wrapped because she was Jewish. I thought that was a tradition. Same with the open casket, being wrapped inside of it. But is that different here?
If she were to be wrapped, she would be buried in a shroud, which is again the Jewish burial garment. It's a cotton. They'll have cotton pants. She'll have a cotton shirt. We'll have 3 ladies who come in and do the washing and dressing of her, which is called a tahara. And these are ladies are members of the Orthodox community who we engage, who does this ritual. But no, she won't be wrapped completely. We have families who they would like to see the person, and by wrapping the person with the feet that calls. Now there are other cities that do this. They'll wrap the person completely. Baltimore isn't one of those particular cities that do this. However, there are different Chevra Kadishas, and a Chevra Kadisha are different groups of men and women who do taharas, who do washings and dressings of the deceased.
Okay. I think it's going to be best for my friend to decide what they want to do. I'll bring the information to them and they can choose.
I would recommend talking about this with Nancy.
If Nancy decides she wants an open casket, but if family is not comfortable, what do you do?
That Nancy should discuss with the family. I think the more Nancy participates in her own funeral, I think there's nothing wrong with that. She should have a say if she's okay talking about this. Okay, the next question is she to be embalmed? And embalming is not a state law, it is not a federal law. The main purpose for embalming is, besides the temporary preservation of the deceased, the embalming procedure will make her most presentable to be seen by other members of the family and friends.
Right. I'm gonna let her family decide that situation.
Okay, that's fine. What I can, the next portion of the arrangement is the caskets. And I have here some pictures of caskets and the prices. Everything is clearly marked here. I would recommend to just turn through the pages to take a look and to see what maybe she would want. We have finished caskets, we have unfinished caskets.
I think she can come here and look for herself. Or maybe her family could pick for her. I don't really want to. So I'll ask her family and sell them the prices. They tell me what they think is
I'm gonna
best.
ask Nancy, have her participate fully what she would want. You can take a look through my book to see something that that maybe she would want.
I'm going to discuss that more with her,
I could do that,
I think. Oh, could you discuss that more with her? Could we meet next week, maybe 6?
That's fine. That's fine, I think that's
Or 2 or 3. I'll call you and let you know when works best. Thank you so much, by the way.